Oh,
Sarah, who came this close to winning $100,000 during the show, had a home bar, AAA Tahoe, and a brand new BMW in her showcase. She made 58,500 actual price. 55,000.
oh, both over.
Double over. Oh my goodness, we hate to see that, especially on a nighttime show. But we had a great show anyway. Gave away a Porsche, remember that? $83,000 Porsche. And we offered so many good prizes, man. Thanks for tuning in. Always a blessing when you spend the hour with us. Really appreciate it. Please get your pets spayed or neutered. Help control the pet population. And take care of your mental health. We'll see you next time on The Price is Right. I love you. Bye.
You don't want to miss it. Raise the Cage's all new. CBS Next.
Hey there, CBS Thursdays are my favorite. Unexpected, exciting, and the four must-watch shows. First one, it's Georgie and Mandy's first marriage.
What kind of good president?
And then it's a house full of spirits, so...
Hey, whoever stopped in, thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? We are starting a new book tonight. Callahan's Crosstime Saloon, written by Spider Robinson. Hey, it's Dude. How are you, brother? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? Allie Ricks channel. Hello. Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? Jordan Hernandez. How's it going? Lee White. How's it going? Thanks for coming in, everybody. We are going to be reading Callahan's Crosstime Saloon by Spider Robinson. If you're not currently, please go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. If you like hearing me read, you can listen to me read all kinds of little blue books. If you're wondering what a little blue book is, hey, Fierce Fact, thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head, man? These are little blue books. They were published in the 19-teens, 20s, 30s, and 40s. And you could purchase them by mail. Mainly, they were mail order books. But they were also sold via vending machines. And he also he was the first one to do chain stores. He opened quite a few chain stores in big cities. Thank you, Ali Ricks. And I know I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, that incorrectly. Ali Ricks channel. Thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it. Link Miller, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? And of course, I do all this stoned. So, speaking of which. And this is Watermelon Rancher live resin. And it tastes neither like watermelon nor a rancher. And but it's really good live resin. So Raygo 685, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? So this is one of the little blue books that I recently put up on my channel. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, your channel is not good. Well, neither's mine, really. You just got to keep working at it. I am doing fantastic, Raygo. Thanks for asking. I appreciate that. Like I said, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please go and subscribe. There's the Last Druid. How's it going, man? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? Tonight we are starting a new book. We are starting Callahan's Crosstime Saloon, written by Spider Robinson. And what I've read so far, it's pretty good. I like it. It goes. I hear you. I hear you, Last Druid. Um, but this is pretty good. If you missed um, if you missed my readings before, you missed the entire Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reading. But maybe we'll do that again someday. I don't know. It's a pretty good series. But I was looking this up, and I was looking up to see what other books that Spider Robinson wrote. Man, I'm getting rifty. Going to switch to devices. Okay, Lee Snow, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? Link Miller, thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? I think you did come in already. But I looked up, and this guy wrote a lot of books. Writes a lot of books. Wrote a lot of books. Either way, but and he's got quite a few of the Callahan series. So I had a brain fart there. He's got quite a few in this series. There is one that I am looking at that is the Callahan's Crosstime Saloon Chronicles, or the Callahan Chronicles, and it is apparently the first 3 books in this series. Oh yeah, I thought so, Link. It is this one and 2 additional books. Do I like Fortnite? I have never played it, Alarix, but I play Diablo 4. I love the Diablo series. I've played all of them when they come out, but I'm currently playing Diablo 4, and I used to play Guild Wars. I played Guild Wars 1, and sorry, something had distracted me off to the side. Yes, I hear it is fun, Fortnite, but I'm more of the game style more I like is in the Diablo genre. But anyhow, here we go. What time is it, kids? Is it time to get started? Let me see. Has Maddie made it? Oh, it's 10:06. We've got another 4 minutes. Yeah, so I play Diablo 4. Here is the book that is coming up next on my YouTube channel. It is Little Blue Book number 1108. And it is called The Origin of Religion, written by Joseph McCabe. Spy. It is all my fault. Thanks for coming in, though. Love and appreciate you. How's your head, Spy? It's always my fault, man, and that's okay. I've got broad shoulders. I can take the blame. I mean, you know, if I need to be your boogeyman, your bad guy, your son of a bitch, I don't care. I'm happy to do that. If you need me to come to a family, you know, dinner for Thanksgiving and just wreck the joint, come drunk, and we'll just get you kicked out for the rest. You don't have to worry about it. You're here for my soul. Sorry, it's already been sold there, Spy. You're a day late and $1 short, son. You got to be quicker than that to buy an old soul like mine. I sold it 12 times over at least. 13 is not a good thing to do, though it is a good number. 13. Maybe I'll sell my soul to you for the 13th time. I think it'll bring good luck. You'll have to wrestle it from the demon that currently holds it, though. He doesn't like to give up souls once you sell them to him. Why do you say after everything, how's your head? Well, because I'd like to know how's your head doing, metaphorically, physically. I mean, if your head needs fixed, you know, I always suggest these. And, you know, how's your head? How's your head game? You know, take it however you'd like. I'm not using it if he wants to buy. There you go, Spy. There's another soul up for sale. They said it was broken. Well, it is. It's been used a lot. I beat the hell out of my soul for probably 20 years. I mean, come on. I sold it to Jesus at least 5 times. He doesn't like it, though. It doesn't do much for him. It never obeys, and it doesn't believe in him. I sold it to the devil, but he doesn't exist either. So I just sell it to lesser demons and demigods and whatever. You know, whoever's got, you know, I sell it to people who live in vans down by the river, man. I don't care. All right, here we go. Is it 10? Is it 10 yet? Are we ready to go? Have I wasted enough for it? Oh, 10:09. Link Miller. I've said that. Sweet Jesus. Here we go. God, that's one thing I hate about vapes. It just constantly sneaks up her. Ah. Oh, that's okay, Link. It's always nice to ask, you know. That's why I tell you. But in a general sense, I'm concerned as how your mental well-being is. I hope you're doing good. All right, here we go, kids. We're going to start Callahan's Crosstown Saloon. Crosstime Saloon. Sorry, Crosstime. Stinky Winky. Well, that's a bit personal, isn't it? I mean, we don't know each other that well. We've only met. I think we've got to go out on a few dates before I start calling you Stinky Winky. Snooky Wookie. All right, here we go. We have got 9 chapters in this book, and the first one is The Guy with the Eyes. And we're not going to do the preface and the preface and the whatever. The foreword, we're not doing the foreword. No, we're cutting. Okay, well, here's a quote. So we can do that. There is nothing which has been contrived by man by which so much happiness has been produced as by a good tavern or inn. That's true. Samuel Johnson. Callahan's place was pretty lively that night. Talk fought Budweiser for mouth space all over the joint, and the beer nuts supply was critical. But this guy managed to keep himself in a corner without being noticed for nearly an hour. I only spotted him myself a few minutes before all the action started, and I make a point of studying everybody at Callahan's place. First thing, I saw those eyes. You get used to some haunted eyes in Callahan's. The newcomers have them. But these remind me of a guy I knew once in Topeka, who got 4 people with an antique revolver before they cut him down. I hoped like hell he'd visit the fireplace before he left. If you've never been to Callahan's place, God's pity on you. Seek it in the wilds of Suffolk County, but look not for neon. A simple, hand-lettered sign illuminated by a single floodlight, and a heavy oaken door split in the center by the head of Big Beef McCaffrey in 1947, and poorly repaired. Inside, several heresies. First, the light is about as bright as you can keep your living room. Callahan maintains that people who like to drink in caves are unstable. Second, there's a flat rate. Every drink in the house is $50, with the option. The option operates as follows. You place a $1 bill on the bar. If all you have on you is a fin, you trot across the street to the all-night deli, get change, come back, and put a $1 bill on the bar. Callahan maintains that nobody in his right mind would counterfeit $1 bills. Most of us figure he just likes to rub fistfuls of them across his face after closing. You are served your poison of choice. You inhale this and confront the option. You may, as you leave, pick up 2 quarters from the always full cigar box at the end of the bar and exit into the night. Or you may, upon finishing your drink, stride up to the chalk line in the middle of the room, announce a toast. This is mandatory. and hurl your glass into the huge, old-fashioned fireplace which takes up most of the back wall. You then depart without visiting the cigar box. Or pony up another buck and exercise your option again. Callahan seldom has to replenish the cigar box. He orders glasses in such quantities that they cost him next to nothing, and he sweeps out the fireplace himself every morning. Another heresy. No one watches you with accusing eyes to make sure you take no more quarters than you have coming to you. If Callahan ever happens to catch someone cheating him, he personally ejects them forever. Sometimes he doesn't open the door first. The last time he had to eject someone was in 1947. A gentleman named Big Beef McCaffrey. Not too surprisingly, it's a damned interesting place to be. It's the kind of place you hear about only if you need to. And if you are very lucky, because if a patron, having proposed his toast and smithereened his glass, feels like talking about the nature of his troubles, he receives the instant, undivided attention of everyone in the room. That's why the toast is obligatory. Many a man with the hurt locked inside finds in the act of naming his hurt for the toast that he wants very much to talk about it. Callahan is one smart hombre. On the other hand, even the most tantalizing cryptic toast will bring no prying inquiries if the guy displays no desire to uncork. Anyone attempting to flout this custom is promptly blackjacked by Fast Eddie, the piano player, and dumped in the alley. But somehow, many do feel like spilling it in a place like Callahan's. And you can get a deeper insight into human nature in a week there than in 10 years anywhere else I know. You can also quite likely find solace for most any kind of trouble from Callahan himself, if no one else. It's a rare hurt that can stand under the advice, help, and sympathy generated by upwards of 30 people that care. Callahan loses a lot of his regulars. After they've been coming around long enough, they find they don't need a drink anymore. It's that kind of bar. I don't want you to get a picture of Callahan's place as an agonized Alcoholics Anonymous type of group encounter session, with Callahan as some sort of salty psychoanalyst father figure in the foreground. Hell, many's the toast provokes roars of laughter or a shouted chorus of agreement, or a unanimous blitz of glasses from all over the room when the night is particularly spirited. Callahan is tolerant of ranny-gazoo. He maintains that a bar should be merry, so long as no bones are broken unintentionally. I mind the time he helped Spud Flynn set fire to a seat cushion to settle a bet on which way the draft was coming. Callahan exudes at all times a kind of monolithic calm, and US 40 is shorter than his temper. This night I'm telling you about, for instance, was nothing if not merry. When I pulled in around 10 o'clock, there was an unholy shambles of square dance going on in the middle of the floor. I laid $1 on the bar, collected a glass of Tollymore Dew, and a hello grin from Callahan, and settled back in a tall chair. Callahan abhors bar stools. To observe the goings-on. That's what I mean about Callahan's place. Most bars, men only dance if there are ladies around, of one sex or another. I picked some familiar faces out of the maelstrom of madmen weaving and lurching over honest-to-God sawdust, and waved a few greetings. There was Tom Flannery, who at that time had 8 months to live, and knew it. He laughed a lot at Callahan's place. There was Slippery Joe Mazer, who had 2 wives, and Marty Mathias, who didn't gamble anymore, and Noah Gonzalez, who worked on Suffolk County's bomb squad. Calling for the square dance while performing a credible Irish jig was Doc Webster, fat and jovial as the day he pumped the pills out of my stomach and ordered me to Callahan's. See? I used to have a wife and daughter before I decided to install my own brakes. I saved $30 easy. The doc left the square dancers to their fate, their creative individuality making a caller superfluous, and drifted over like a pink zeppelin to say hello. His stethoscope hung unnoticed from his ears, framing a smile like a sun lamp. The end of the scope was in his drink. Howdy, Doc. Always wondered how you kept that damn thing so cold, I greeted him. He blinked like an owl with the staggers and looked down at the gently bubbling pickup beneath 2 fingers of scotch. Emitting a bellow of laughter at about force 8, he removed the gleaming thing and shook it experimentally. My secret's out, Jake. Keep it under your hat, will you? He boomed. Maybe you better keep it under yours, I suggested. He appeared to consider this idea for a time, while I speculated on one of life's greatest paradoxes. Sam Webster, M.D. The doc is good for a couple of quarts of Peter Dawson a night, 3 or 4 nights a week. But you won't find a better sawbones anywhere on earth. And those sausage fingers of his can move like a tap-dancing centipede when they have to, with nary a tremor. Ask Shorty Steintz to tell you about the time Doc Webster took out his appendix on top of Callahan's bar, while Callahan calmly kept the scotch coming. At least then I could hear myself think, the doc finally replied, and several people seated within earshot groaned theatrically. Have a heart, Doc, one called out. What a repulsive idea, the doc returned to serve. Well, I know when I'm beat, said the challenger, and made as if to turn away. Why, you young whelp, I ought to poke you one, he roared, and the bar exploded with laughter and cheers. Callahan picked up a beer bottle in his huge hand and pegged it across the bar at the doc's round skull. The beer bottle, being made of foam rubber, bounced gracefully into the air and landed in the piano, where Fast Eddie sat locked in mortal combat with the C-Jam Blues. We're going to pause there because I got Cottonmouth kicking my ass. And when we pause for, Cottonmouth and hydration, drink, hydration, because nobody likes Cottonmouth, and, remedicate. It's a vicious circle that we all volunteer for. Fast Eddie emitted a sound like an outraged transmission and kept right on playing, though his upper register was shot. Little beer never hoyed a piano, he sang out as he reached the bridge and went over it like he figured to burn it behind him. All in all, it looked like a cheerful night. But then I saw the Jansen kid come in, and I knew there was a trouble brewing. This Jansen kid, look, I can't knock long hair. I wore mine long when it wasn't fashionable. And I can't knock pot for the same reason. But nobody I know ever had a good thing to say for heroin. Certainly not Joe Hennessy, who did 2 weeks in the hospital last year after he surprised the Jansen kid scooping junk money out of his safe at 4 a.m. Old man Jansen paid Hennessy back every dime and disowned the kid. And he'd been in and out of sight ever since. Word was he was still using this stuff. But the cops never seemed to catch him holding. They sure did try, though. I wondered what the hell he was doing in Callahan's place. I should know better by now. He placed a tattered bill on the bar, took the shot of bourbon which Callahan handed him silently, and walked to the chalk line. He was quivering with repressed tension, and his boots squeaked on the sawdust. The place quieted down some, and his toast, "To smack," rang out clear and crisp. Then he downed the shot amid an expanding silence and flung his glass so hard you could hear his shoulder crack just before the glass shattered on unyielding brick. Having created silence, he broke it with a sob. Even as he let it out, he glared around to see what our reactions were. Callahan's was immediate. An amen! It sounded like an echo of the smashing glass. The kid made a face like he was somehow satisfied in spite of himself, and looked at the rest of us. His gaze rested on Doc Webster. And the doc drifted over and gently began rolling up the kid's sleeves. The boy made no effort to help or hinder him. When they were both rolled to the shoulder, phosphorant purple, I think they were, he silently held out his arms, palm up. They were absolutely unmarked. Skinny as hell and white as a piece of paper, but unmarked. The kid was clean. Everyone waited in silence, giving the kid their respectful attention. It was a new feeling to him, and he didn't quite know how to handle it. Finally, he said, "I heard about this place." Just a little too truculently. "Then you must have needed to," Callahan told him quietly, and the kid nodded slowly. "I hear you get some answers in from time to time," he half-asked. "Now and again," Callahan admitted. "Some of the damnedest questions, too. What it's like, for instance." "You mean smack?" "I don't mean bourbon." The kid's eyes got a funny, faraway look, and he almost smiled. It's... He paused, considering. "It's like being dead." "Woo-ee!" came a voice from across the room. "That's a powerful good feeling indeed." I looked and saw it was Chuck Samms talking, and watched to see how the kid would take it. He thought Chuck was being sarcastic and snapped back, "Well, what the hell do you know about it anyway?" Chuck smiled. A lot of people ask him that question in a different tone of voice. "Me?" he said, enjoying himself hugely. "Why, I've been dead is all." "The truth," Callahan confirmed as the kid's jaw dropped. Chuck there was legally dead for 5 minutes before the doc got his pacemaker going again. The crumb died owing me money, and I never had the heart to dun his widow. "Sure was a nice feeling, too," Chuck said round a yawn. "More peaceful than nap time in a monastery. If it wasn't so pleasant, I wouldn't be near so damn scared of it." There was an edge to his voice as he finished, but it disappeared as he added softly, "What the hell would you want to be dead for?" The Jansen kid couldn't meet his eyes, and when he spoke, his voice cracked. "Like you said, Pop, peace. A little peace of mind. A little quiet. Nobody yammering at me all the time. I mean, if you're dead, there's always the chance somebody will mourn, right? Make friends with the worms. Dig their side of it. Maybe a little poltergeist action, who knows? I mean, what's the sense of talking about it anyway? Didn't any of you guys ever just want to run away?" "Sure thing," said Callahan. "Sometimes I do it too, but I generally run someplace I can find my way back from." It was said so gently that the kid couldn't couldn't take offense, though he tried. Run away from what, son? Asked Slippery Joe. The kid had been bottled up tight too long. He exploded. From what? He yelled. Jesus, where do I start? There was this war they wanted me to go and fight, see? And there's this place called college. I mean, they want you to care. Care about this education trip. And they don't care enough themselves to make it as attractive as the crap game across the street. There's this air I hear is unfit to breathe, and water that ain't fit to drink, and food that wouldn't nourish a vulture, and a grand outlook for the future. You can't get to a job without the car you couldn't afford to run even if you're working. And if you found a job, it'd pay $5 less than the rent. The TV advertises karate classes for 4-year-olds and up. The president's new clothes didn't wear very well. The next depression's round the corner. And you ask me, what in the name of God am I running from? Man, I've been straight for 7 months. What I mean, and in that 7 goddamn months, I have been over this island like a fungus, and there is nothing for me. No jobs, no friends, no place to live long enough to get the floor dirty, no money, and nobody that doesn't point and say junkie. When I go by for 7 months and you ask me, what am I running from? Man, everything is all. Just everything. It was right then that I noticed that guy in the corner. The one with the eyes. Remember him? He was leaning forward in rapt attention. His mouth, a black slash, and a face pulled tight as a drumhead. Those ghastly eyes of his never left the Jansen kid. But somehow, I was sure that his awareness included all of us, everyone in the room. And no one had an answer for the Jansen boy. I could see all around the room men who had learned to listen. Callahan's place. Men who had learned to empathize, to want to understand and share the pain of another, and no one had a word to say. They were thinking past the blurted words of a haunted boy, wondering if this crazy world of confusion might not, after all, be one holy hell of a place to grow up. Most of them already had reason to know damn well that society never forgives the sinner. But they were realizing to their dismay how thin and uncomforting the straight and narrow had become these last few years. Sure, they'd heard these things before, often enough to make them into cliches. But now, I could see the boys reflecting that these were the cliches that made a young man say he liked to feel dead. And the same thought was mirrored on the face of each of them. My God, when did we let these things become cliches? The problem of today's youth were no longer a Sunday supplement or a news broadcast or anything so remote and intangible. They were suddenly becoming a dirty, shivering boy who told us that in this world we had built for him with our sweat and our blood, he was not only tired of living, but so unscared of dying that he did it daily, sometimes for recreation. And silence held court in Callahan's place. No one had a single thing to say, and that guy with the eyes seemed to know it, and to derive some crazy kind of bitter inner satisfaction from the knowledge. He started to settle back in his chair when Callahan broke the silence. So run, he said. Just like that, flat, no expression, just, so run. It hung there for about 10 seconds, while he and the kid locked eyes. Pause for hydration. He and the kid locks eyes. The suspense. All right, we'll do this here. I don't even remember what this one is. Ah, cool. Patrick and you were listening. Awesome. Just a tad more hydration. The kid's forehead started to bead with sweat. Slowly, with shaking fingers, he reached under his leather vest to his shirt pocket. Knuckles white, he hauled out a flat, shiny black case about 4 inches by 2. His eyes never left Callahan's as he opened it and held it up so that we could all see the gleaming hypodermic. Hypodermic. It didn't look like it had been used. He must have just stolen it. He held it up to the light for a moment, looking up his bare, unmarked arm at it, and then he whirled and flung it, case and all, into the giant fireplace. Almost as it shattered, he sent a cellophane bag of white powder after it, and the powder burned green while the sudden stillness hung in the air. The guy with the eyes looked oddly stricken in some interior way, and he sat absolutely rigid in his seat. And Callahan was around the bar in an instant, handing the Jansen kid a beer that grew out of his fist and roaring, "Welcome home, Tommy!" And no one in the place was very startled to realize that only Callahan, of all of us, knew the kid's first name. We all sort of swarmed around then and swatted the kid on the arm, some, and even cried a little until we poured some beer over his head, and pretty soon it began to look like the night was going to get merry again after all. And that's when the guy with the eye stood up. My throat's getting tough. And everybody in the joint shut up and turned to look at him. That sounds melodramatic, but it's the effect he has on us. He had on us. When he moved, he was the center of attention. He was tall, unreasonably tall, near 7 foot. And I'll never know why we hadn't all noticed him right off. He was dressed in a black suit that fit worse than a Juliet special, and his shoes didn't look right either. After a moment, you realized that he had the left shoe on the right foot, and vice versa. But it didn't surprise you. He was thin and deeply tanned, and his mouth was twisted up tight, but mostly he was eyes. And I still dream of those eyes and wake up sweating now and again. They were like windows into hell. The very personal and private hell of a man faced with a dilemma he cannot resolve. They did not blink. Not once. He shambled to the bar. And something was wrong with his walk, too. Like he was walking sideways on the wall with magnetic shoes and hadn't quite caught the knack of it yet. He took 10 new singles out of his jacket pocket, which struck me as an odd place to keep cash, and laid them on the bar. Callahan seemed to come back from a far place and hustled around behind the bar again. He looked the stranger up and down and then placed 10 shot glasses on the counter. He filled each with rye and stood back silently, running a big red hand through his thinning hair and regarding the stranger with clinical interest. The dark giant tossed off the first shot, shuffled to the chalk line, and said in oddly accented English, "To my profession," and hurled the glass into the fireplace. Then he walked back to the bar and repeated the entire procedure 10 times. By the last glass, brick was chipping in the fireplace. When the last, "To my profession," echoed in empty air, he turned and faced us. He waited, tensely, for question or challenge. There was none. He half turned away, paused, then swung back and took a couple of deep breaths. When he spoke, his voice made you hurt to hear it. My profession, gentlemen, he said, with that funny accent I can't place, is that of advance scout. For a race whose home is many light years from here. Many, many light years from here. He paused, looking for our reactions. Well, I thought, 10 whiskeys and he's a Martian. Indeed, pleased to meet you. I'm Popeye the Sailor. I guess it was pretty obvious we were all thinking the same way, because he looked tired and said, It would take far more ethanol than that to befuddle me, gentlemen. Nobody has said a word to that, and he turned to Callahan. You know I'm not intoxicated, he stated. Callahan considered him professionally and said finally, Nope, you're not tight. I'll be a son of a bitch, but you're not tight. The stranger nodded thanks, spoke thereafter directly to Callahan. I am here now 3 days. In 2 hours I shall be finished. When I am finished, I shall go home. After I've gone, your planet will be vaporized. I have accumulated data which will ensure the annihilation of your species when they are assimilated by my masters. To them, you will seem as cancerous cells, in danger of infecting all you touch. You will not be permitted to exist. You will be cured. And I repent me of my profession. Maybe I wouldn't have believed it anywhere else. But at Callahan's place, anything can happen. Hell, we all believed him. Fast Eddie sang out, Ain't a thing we can do about it. And he was serious for sure. You can tell with Fast Eddie. I am helpless, the giant alien said dispassionately. I contain installations which are beyond my influencing or yours. They have recorded all the data I have perceived in these 3 days. In 2 hours, a preset mechanism will be triggered and will transmit their contents to the masters. I looked at my watch. It was 11:15. The conclusions of the masters are foregone. I cannot prevent the transmission. I cannot even attempt to. I am counter-programmed. Why are you in this line of work if it bugs you so much? Callahan wanted to know. No hostility, no panic. He was trying to understand. I am accustomed to take pride in my work, the alien said. I make safe the paths of my masters. They must not be threatened by warlike species. I go before to identify danger and see to its neutralization. It is a good profession, I think. I thought. What changed your mind? Asked Doc Webster sympathetically. This place. This bar. Place we are in. This is not like the rest I have seen. Outside are hatred, competition, morals elevated to the status of ethics, prejudices elevated to the status of morals, whims elevated to the status of prejudice. All things with which I am wearily familiar, the classic symptoms of disease. But here is difference. Here, in this place, I sense qualities, attributes I did not know your species possessed, attributes which elsewhere, everywhere else in the known universe, are mutually exclusive of the things I have perceived here tonight. They are good things. They cause me great anguish for your passing. They fill me with hurt. Oh, That I might lay down my, he cried. I did not know that you had love. In the echoing stillness, Callahan said simply, Sure we do, son. It's maybe spread a little thin these days, but we've got it all right. Sure would be a shame if it all went up in smoke. He looked down at the rye bottle he still held in his big hand and absently drank off a couple ounces. Any chance that your masters might feel the same way? None. Even I can still see that you must be destroyed, that the masters are to be safe. But for the first time in some thousands of years, I regret my profession. I fear I can do no more. No way you can gum up the works? None. So long as I am alive and conscious, the transmission will take place. I could not assemble the volition to stop it. I have said I am counter-programmed. I saw Noah Gonzalez's expression soften, heard him say, Geez, buddy, that's hard lines. A mumbled agreement rose, and Callahan nodded slowly. That's tough, brother. Pardon me. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. He looked at us with absolute astonishment. The hurt in those terrible eyes of his mixed now with the bewilderment. Shorty handed him another drink, and it was like he didn't know what to do with it. You tell us how much it will take, mister, Shorty said respectfully, and we'll get you drunk. The tall man, with star-burned skin, groaned from deep within himself and backed away until the fireplace contained him. He and the flames ignored each other, and no one found it surprising. What is your matter? He cried. Why do you not destroy me? You fools! You need only destroy me, and you are saved. I am your judge. I am your jury. I will be your executioner. You didn't ask for the job, Shorty said gently. It ain't your doing. But you do not understand. If my data and my are not transmitted, the masters will assume my destruction and avoid this system forever. Only the equal or superior of a master could overcome my defenses. But I can control them. I will not use them. Do you comprehend me? I will not activate my defenses. You can destroy me and save yourselves and your species, and I will not hinder you. Kill me, he screamed. There was a long, long pause, maybe a second or two, and then Callahan pointed to the drink Shorty still held out and growled, You better drink that, friend. You need it. Talking of killing in my joint. Wash your mouth out with bourbon and get out of that fireplace. I want to use it. Yeah, me too, came the cry on all sides. And the big guy looked like he was going to cry. Conversations started up again, and Fast Eddie began playing. I don't want to set the world on fire. In very bad taste indeed. We'll pause there because I need to hydrate. And thanks for the likes, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out. We're at 10:48. We got plenty of time. Gonna read some more. Some of the boys wandered thoughtfully out, going home to tell their families or settle their affairs. The rest of us, lacking either concern, drifted over to console the alien. I mean, where else would I want to be on Judgment Day? He was sitting down now with booze of all kinds on the table before him. He looked up at us like a wounded giant, but none of us knew how to begin. Callahan spoke first. You never did tell us your name, friend. The alien looked startled, and he sat absolutely still, rigid as a fence post. For a long, long moment, His face twisted up awful, as though he was waging some titanic inner battle with himself. And cords of muscle stood up on his neck. In what didn't seem to be the right places, Doc Webster began to talk to himself softly. Then the alien went all blue and shivered like a steel cable under strain. He was suddenly relaxed all over with an audible gasp. He twitched his shoulders experimentally a few times, like he was making sure that they were still there. And then he turned to Callahan and said, "Clear as a bell. My name is Michael Finn." It hung in the air for a very long time, while we all stood petrified and suspended. Then Callahan's face split in a wide grin, and he bellowed, "Why, of course! Why, yes, yes, of course, Michael Flynn." Oh, Finn, Michael Finn. "I didn't recognize you for a moment, Mr. Finn." As he trotted behind the bar, his big hands worked busily beneath the counter, and as he emerged with a tall glass of dark fluid, the last of us got it. We made way eagerly as Callahan set the glass down before the alien and stood back with the utmost deference and respect. He regarded us for a moment, and to see his eyes now was to feel warm and proud, for all the despair and guilt and anguish and horror and most of all the hopelessness were gone from them now, and they were just eyes, just like yours or mine. Then he raised his glass and waited, and we all drank with him. Before the last glass was empty, his head hit the table like an anvil, and we had to pick him up and carry him back to the room where Callahan kept the cot. And you know, he was heavy, and he snored in 3 stages. That's the end of chapter 1. What's our time? 10:51. Okay, how big's chapter 2? Oh, yeah, we're not going to have time to get through chapter 2. So we'll stop there, guys. That's chapter 1. So chapter 1 of Callahan's Crosstime Saloon. I like it already. I'm not far ahead. So I think this is going to be a good one. I do believe I'm going to have to invest in the Chronicles. Yep. Very good choice, Eli and Dude. One of you two sent me this. I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. So Callahan's Crosstime Saloon. Anyhow, I looked up the author, Spider Robinson, to see what other books he wrote, and he wrote a lot of them. But he wrote a lot of the Callahan series from the Crosstime Saloon. And there is one book on, it is the Callahan's Chronicles. That's the one, Identity. That's the one, Identity? Okay. I'm not sure what you mean there. Okay. Last Druid. The dude turned me on to that series after I told him about a dream I had. Oh, nice. Sounds like Callahan's. I said, "Excuse me." And he told me about the book. Nice. Oh, that's the one you sent. Okay. I was wondering if that's what you meant, dude. Oh, nice. I'd never heard of it until you guys started talking and sent it to me. So I like it. It's been a long time since I've read a sci-fi series. Well, I guess you're going to post videos after, right? I assume you will be. Oh no, that's great, Snow. You're fine. Yeah, yeah, I post this, so this video will be posted. So you'll be able to catch up. But yeah, I think I'm gonna like this series. I'm just saying there, I haven't read any sci-fi series, and I just got done reading the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But prior to that, I hadn't read any sci-fi series for a long time. Yep, absolutely, Snow will be up there for you, kid. I used to read the Elric of Melonbane or Melonbone series, the Dark Drow Elf. I can't think of the name of the author of that series. That was part of the Dungeons and Dragons series. And then there was no. Sorry. Scratch that. Elric of Melon was written by Michael Moorcock, and that is a different series. Dritz Duradan, the Drow elf, was the part of the Dungeons and Dragons series that I used to read. But Elric of Melon Bond, I don't know. By Michael Moorcock is a really good series. It's a very good sci-fi series, and I would actually read it on here, but the pronunciation of a lot of the, from what I remember of it, I haven't read it in, God, probably 40 years. I read that when I was in my 20s. Now that'd be about 30 years, between 30 and 40, because I'm about to be 60 here in a year. But yeah, but it's the words, the names and shit is so hard to pronounce and so fucking convoluted, and yeah, it's just terrible. So I don't think I could ever read it and do it justice on here. But at least this guy doesn't has an elite. He's got some decent regular names. So, but all right, guys, thanks for listening to me. This is going to be a good series, I believe. Callahan's Crosstime Saloon. Chapter 1 is now up. And then the next book coming up on the Little Blue Books YouTube channel, if you're not a subscriber, please go subscribe, is The Origin of Religion, written by Joseph McCabe. And I think this one has a copyright date. Yep, 1926. So that is the next one coming up on the YouTube channel. I should be putting that up this weekend. And that's it. Oh, Sunday. I'm going to a drag brunch again. Wonderful. Went to one last month. Had a great time. My buddy Brandon is actually dating one of the drag queens, and so we have an in. But it's great fun. So that'll be great. But I'm looking forward to that. But all right, guys, I'll see you next Wednesday. And we'll get into chapter 2 of Callahan's Crosstime Saloon. All right, peace out with sauerkraut, guys. Love you.